Hello, Pirate Dave here on another new comic book day, the third new comic book day of 2026. However, my second one says I didn't go there on New Year's Day. I actually have a lot of books this week, so I'll go ahead and get right into it. First up is Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, Rite of Spring, number 5. If you're not reading this series, absolutely phenomenal blend of the Richard Scarry children's book-esque illustration aesthetic with a thriller horror storyline, and it pulls no punches in the horror genre. Violence does get pretty viscerally depicted. It takes itself completely seriously. It treats all the characters with integrity and respect. I mean, until until some of them die, but the aesthetic is purely, a stylistic choice. Although the anthropomorphism is relevant in some situations, I would say. I don't want to get into it too much, but it is addressed, and animals do exist within this world as well, wild animals that are not anthropomorphic. If you haven't checked this out yet, absolutely recommend you start with the first series, because this is a direct sequel, and the way that it sequels the story, it doesn't just give you the same thing. It really iterates on the concept and follows main character Samantha through a new dynamic of her obsession, so to speak. Very, very excited to see number 5. Just came back from a break, I believe, so it's been a while since number 4. Next up, Tomb Raider Sacred Artifacts, number 1. I've not read any of the Tomb Raider comics, so I'm excited to check this one out. The writer, let's check out her name together because I don't call it Casey Gilly? Casey Gilly, let's say that. Art by Antonio DiCaprio, colors by Aaron Angiolini. See right off the bat, pretty good illustration there. Very stylized. The real important thing with, I would imagine, a Tomb Raider comic, because I'm no Tomb Raider expert, is making sure that Laura looks good. The action looks solid. Gratuitous panel. Excited to dive into that one. I hear pretty good things about, I think it's the Top Cow. Is that the publisher that did the old Tomb Raider books? The writer, Casey Gilly, has a lot of experience with IPs, comic adaptations of IPs. She's got a lot of credits for Buffy the Vampire Slayer, a lot of My Little Pony credits. I don't mean any shade there. It's just difficult when you're not a My Little Pony fan to say My Little Pony without like a shade of judgment. So, and I'm not judging. I'm just used to saying it like that. Let's just move on from that. Okay. Looking forward to Tomb Raider. Up next, we have G.I. Joe, specifically the Transformers universe G.I. Joe, because we'll be talking about the main series in a moment. The current Dreadnought war that's been going on, it's Duke and Cobra Commander waylaid in the middle of Mexican desert. Oh, it's a little graphic, but hopefully that's not too bad. I don't think that's too bad for you. It's ketchup. Famously, the Dreadnoughts like grape soda, and they also like splashing ketchup around sometimes. So just take that. Take that. Take that on faith that that's what's going on. Very, very interesting idea behind the storyline, especially not hard casing the conflict between the Joes and the Cobras. Like, there really is a three-way conflict. There's many more dimensions, but this particular arc is that three-way conflict between Joes, Cobras, and the Dreadnoughts. So, which is, it's funny because one of the criticisms I would have of the main series, which we have coming up next, is that the dynamic has gotten too complex, and it looks like G.I. Joe is it looks like the Transformers G.I. Joe is on its way there, but maybe it'll shape up as time goes on, and lines will get divided more classically. Up next, we have G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero. The previous one is G.I. Joe. This one is G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero. Remember that. And it is issue number 324, which is the 24th issue of its resurgence from the couple of years ago now, I guess, technically, now that we're in 2026. Larry Hama's still at the helm of this one. So the story that he has going on here is as canon, if you want to consider that as it can be. Hama, of course, being the original writer back in 1982 for the first G.I. Joe series. Lady Jane is one of my absolute favorite characters. Lady Jane. Lady Jane is one of my favorite characters. You would think then that I would say her name correctly, and I would call her Lady J. Lady Jane is a name I use for created characters, so I don't rub up too much against copyright infringement. The artwork going on in G.I. Joe Real American Hero, Chris Mooneyham had done most of the previous arc. We've now transitioned to Paul Pelletier. We're going to go with Paul Pelletier. It's solid. Chris Mooneyham had a style to him that, I don't know, maybe not everybody dug. This is a more straightforward way of showing. I mean, do you understand what I'm saying? Like, this accomplishes the sequential art form in terms of consuming it just well enough. For Chris Mooneyham, I just loved his inventiveness. The way he framed panels sometimes, I thought, turned them into something that you could stick on your wall. That said, maybe I'll change my mind as I read through this. Maybe I'll say, wow, man. Paul Pelletier, great call, great change, great addition to the team. I'm not saying he's a bad addition. As you saw, the illustration was great. I just have my opinions, and I'm just speaking my stream of consciousness, and sometimes I passively insult somebody's style, even though they're clearly an exceptional technical artist. Up next, we have Geiger number 20, and as you can see, the Northerner is making his appearance in the Geiger series. Previously showed up in Redcoat, and I believe there was a tagline that it said "from the pages of Redcoat," in fact, for this series. If you're not reading Geiger, this is another one that you'll really want to start with the original series. I think it was originally released 2021. This new series is perfectly fine to start with. It's just that the emotional impact of the first 6-issue mini is one of the best in comics. And to skip that is a crime, and to get it spoiled for you is possibly even worse. I'm not even a guy that really cares about spoilers. I consider the journey more important than the destination. But that's one book where that that destination is really important to go into sort of blind. I don't have much to say about this one. Just the Northerner is. I mean, I don't have any opinions of him yet, even though he was in a couple of issues for Redcoat. He hasn't done anything for me that really shows him as impressive, especially next to Geiger and Simon Pure. So he's got a lot to live up to. Those are some very tall shoulders he has to stand next to. Up next, Supergirl. Yes. Oh, look at that. AEW Collision ad right on the inside of the cover. Is this a new? Looks like a new artist this month. Was Quinones on the last couple of? Somebody, if anybody's watching this, will probably yelling at the screen like, "Yeah, dumbass," or "No, dumbass." It's just that art does look vastly different than what I've been enjoying the last several months. Sophie Campbell has been doing a callback to Silver Age comics with this series. We get a lot of insight into the character's thought process and frame of mind, the return of the thought bubble, so to speak. I didn't see any on the first couple of pages, so maybe she's going for a more mature development in this. This issue, I don't know, it might have been solicited this way, but it feels like it may be a departure from some of the more, forgive me for lack of a better word, like kiddie stuff that we've been getting up till now. And that's not a slight against it. That's one of the reasons why I've been enjoying it. So I don't know how I'll feel if it's starkly different, but we'll see. Up next is another Vampirella. I'm following, well, I shouldn't say following because of the main series I still need to catch up with, but I have been following Armageddon as well. I was going to say I was following 2 Vampirella series to complete that thought from previous. My apologies for that. Vampirella Armageddon is being written by Tom Sinagoski. Hopefully I didn't butcher that name. And it's being drawn by Edu Mena, which, if you're a long-time viewer of the 2 videos I've done so far for my weekly comic polls, you may remember that name from the Nightmare Before Christmas issue last week. And this is, imagine this artwork for the Nightmare Before Christmas issue. Wouldn't that be sick? I'm sure Disney wouldn't be down for that. But what's going on in Vampirella Armageddon takes place mainly in hell right now. It's very on the nose. It's a departure from Christopher Priest's series in that it's a little bit more embracing, is that an appropriate word, of the campiness of Vampirella. Her character is much more of a familiar dimension to her classic character than the sort of serious protagonist that Priest pens her as. Moving on, I know nothing about this book that I'm about to talk about. I saw it was a number 1. I saw it was on the shelf. I saw it looked pretty, so I picked it up. Something beyond the, let's try that together. Petrichor? Petrichor. Petrichor. Jocelyn Alvarez's storehouse of canned goods is waning, and her cohort Quigley is beginning to panic, though the world around her has been all but dissolved thanks to the constant deluge of acid rain that started a year and a half ago. Jocelyn journeys out into the world and to see if any other survivors are caught in the wind. The fact that the falling acid has no effect on plastic materials, like the ones her home was protected with. So it looks like we'll see a dark future, global warming sort of book going on here. I remember when I was a kid, acid rain was a big concern. It's something that we had to really be, just like killer bees, it was going to destroy the world before I reached my teen years. And of course that didn't happen. That's not a shade to say don't trust don't trust the science community or politicians, but that is to say, don't fully trust everything that you hear. I'm not trying to get into politics too much, but since that landscape is clearly a focus in this book and relevant, there you go. Can I say pastels? Is that appropriate? I've always heard that word. I'm not an artist or anything, but I've always heard pastels and associated it with that sort of muted, not dark, bright, sort of dinge color. None of this is an insult. I think this book looks fantastic, and I'm really glad I picked it up, and I look forward to reading through it. Something beyond the petrichor. Let's see if we can get some credits here. Dave, put them on the screen. Dakota Brown, art, colors, and letters by David Lujan. Man, we're not we're not doing well with the pronunciation on that book. Last for the floppies, I'm very excited that this has returned. We have Babs, The Black Road South. This is Garth Ennis and Jason Burrows' passion project, I'll say. if you haven't been reading Babs or you haven't heard about Babs, may look a little bit familiar. This is very much a parody of Red Sonja, the fantasy genre, nerd culture in general. A lot of people did not like the previous mini. I loved it. It's one of my favorite minis of all time, because I like Red Sonja too, and I don't mind poking fun at some of the idiosyncrasies of the nerd culture and the things like that. I'm literally just you can just glance at things and there's jokes on every panel and every page, in some capacity. But as you can see, it presents itself seriously enough. If you're not reading it, I doubt this is one that you'll have to read the previous series for. It was really just introducing the tone of the character, and that while things are silly in the book, the world is relatively dangerous. So you have to take the danger seriously as much as possible, at least. On that same note, we have Conan the Barbarian. This collects 4 books, I believe. Conan the Barbarian 21 through 24. I just heard really good things about what's going on with this series. That it's one of the best comics being put out these days. And as from what I remember, Conan the Barbarian number 21 specifically was advertised as a great jumping on point. So, and then we see the whole map there. Get into some artwork. There you go. If you're interested in, a little bit, of course, it's a little racy. It's as expected with Conan. Look at that. Does it compare to that's Dan Panosian right there? In case you're wondering, I was gonna say, does it compare to the old Frank Frazetta epic illustrations? And I mean, it's up to you whether or not that's a fair comparison. Frank Frazetta was an amazing artist, and we can't expect everybody to come along and want to be exactly like him. Panosian looks great. He's not doing the interiors, of course, but just establishing covers like that are well enough. And as you can see, take a look who is doing the interiors for this real quick. Fernando Dagnino. He's doing a great job. He's capturing Conan just as well. I'm not nearly as knowledgeable about Conan as I am about, say, Red Sonja. I've seen the Conan movies, and I may have read a Conan comic book. And, of course, he appears in some Red Sonja. So, and, of course, Red Sonja appeared in his book. So, up next, we have Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the Pink Ranger Trade. This collects a couple of series. One that I have already read, which was Mighty Morphin Power Rangers: The Return, written by Amy Jo Johnson, Pink Ranger herself, which you can see Jenny Frison seems to have captured her likeness. I mean, it seems to have used her as a reference. Maybe I'm just imagining that, and that's just another beautiful face that Frison draws among her, I will say, a relatively small collection of facial models that she uses. This collects Mighty Morphin Power Rangers: The Pink Ranger, I think was the name of the mini. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers: The Return. And maybe we can get a index here. There we go. Oh, sorry. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Pink, not the Pink Ranger, but we know what they mean. And then The Return. And I thought that there was something more than that, but maybe it's just those 2 series. This is a little bit pricey for those 2 series, maybe for you. I mean, you're talking about a larger page count than a conventional trade, but for $25, it's up to you whether or not it's worth it. For me, I really did want that Jenny Frison illustration that she did this for The Return number 1, and I didn't get my hands on it. this just happened to come up, so that's a great way to own it and to read that Power Rangers Pink book as well. Lastly, for the pickups, we have The Life and Death of Fritz the Cat by Robert Crumb. Let's see if we don't get anything racy right off the bat. No, nothing. Okay. Chances are you are familiar with Robert Crumb's illustrations. He was a very, I'll say, fringe cartoonist. Definitely one of the last living classic cartoonists, but he certainly went his own way in terms of the content that he produced. I'm peripherally aware of Fritz the Cat. I've heard it about it, my most of my life, and I had just read the comic book that Robert Crumb put out, so this was a perfect opportunity to jump on into it. This book is $20. It's a reprint of the classic trade. That's it for my pickups. Maybe it was a little boring. I know that I rambled a little bit more here. I didn't have as much of a structure behind what I wanted to talk about. Hopefully you enjoyed listening to my voice for 20 minutes. I doubt these videos will go that much longer in the future. Thank you very much for joining me. I was Pirate Dave, and you have yourself a fantastic new comic book day and a fantastic week.